Most people think dopamine is just feeling good. They think it's harmless. They think it's normal to scroll for hours, normal to be constantly stimulated, normal to feel empty when the screen turns black. But dopamine is not harmless. Dopamine is not neutral. Dopamine doesn't just reward you, it controls you. Dopamine rewires your desires, reshapes your habits, and silently replaces your long-term goals with cheap, meaningless, easy pleasure. It convinces you that comfort is happiness, that distraction is rest, that avoidance is self-care. Dopamine turns lions into sheep, warriors into spectators, builders into consumers. And the scariest part? It does this so slowly that you don't even realize you're being erased. Look closely at your life. Notice how easy things feel good and meaningful things feel hard. Notice how instant pleasure feels natural and delayed reward feels impossible. Notice how stimulation feels like oxygen and boredom feels like suffocation. Your brain is malfunctioning, and you don't even know it. You want to be disciplined, but discipline feels painful. You want to focus, but silence feels unbearable. You want to grow, but every step forward triggers the urge to escape. You want to change, but your brain fights you harder than your environment ever did. Because dopamine is not fighting your habits. Dopamine is fighting your identity. It trains you to become a person who cannot tolerate discomfort. And a human who cannot tolerate discomfort cannot build anything. Not a skill, not a career, not a relationship, not a future, not a life. And here is where the truth becomes even darker. Dopamine doesn't just weaken you, it replaces you. The version of you that once dreamed big, gone. The version of you that was fearless as a child, gone. The version of you that could sit and think without needing stimulation, completely deleted. You didn't lose discipline, it was taken from you. You didn't become unmotivated, your motivation was overwritten. You didn't fail to focus, your brain was rewired to avoid effort. Dopamine addiction doesn't make you lazy, it makes you dependent. Dependent on constant noise, constant pleasure, constant escape. You don't choose distraction. Distraction chooses you. You don't choose instant gratification. Your brain demands it. You don't choose weakness. You simply stopped resisting. And here's the unforgiving psychological truth. If dopamine controls your attention, dopamine controls your destiny. Your life becomes reactive instead of intentional. You drift instead of direct. You consume instead of create. You restart instead of progress. You hope instead of act. You live in a loop. Stimulation to exhaustion, to guilt, to promises, to relapse, to repeat. And that loop can last for years, for decades, for entire lifetimes. People don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because dopamine makes failure feel safer than effort. Success requires boredom. Success requires silence. Success requires repetition. The one thing dopamine addicts cannot tolerate. That's why the disciplined win. Not because they're stronger, not because they're special, but because they learn to live without needing constant pleasure. Discipline is not about saying yes to hard things. It's about saying no to the chemical that wants to destroy your potential. Here's where it gets painfully honest. If you want discipline, you must kill the version of yourself that worships dopamine. You must learn to endure moments without stimulation. You must learn to sit in silence without reaching for a screen. You must learn to feel discomfort without escaping it. You must learn to do the boring work without needing a reward. Because the truth is simple. Dopamine is the devil that offers pleasure today in exchange for your future tomorrow. Discipline is the angel that offers pain today in exchange for a life you can be proud of. Most people choose the devil because the devil offers comfort. But comfort is a coffin, soft, warm, silent, a perfect place to bury your ambition. And here's the final, brutal reality. If you don't control dopamine, dopamine will control you, and it will turn your whole life into a comfortable prison. The door is open, but most people never walk out. The question is, will you?